Have you ever wondered what happens when witches and wizards gather in the heart of an ancient forest, under the shroud of the night sky, to conjure a mystical grey flame? This is a tale of mystery, magic, and the enchanting dance of flames. In the far reaches of the north, where the woods stretch out as far as the eye can see, witches and wizards from near and far gather for a ritual unlike any other. A place in the forest, cloaked in the shadows of the towering trees, reveals itself as the chosen spot for the ritual. A safe distance away from the realms of the ordinary, a circle forms around a pile of logs, ready to cradle the flames of the ritual fire. The purpose of this gathering is to create a grey flame, a symbol of unity and shared magic. Each participant would have the chance to take home a part of this flame for their own magical rituals. For many, including a witch named Unikuka, the allure of the grey flame is irresistible. It offers a chance to distill the essence of the white and black flame. Armed with a small glass container, Unikuka prepared to capture the mystical flame. The ritual began with the witches and wizards forming a ring around the pile of logs. Arms raised, they began to hum, their voices growing louder, their movements becoming more pronounced. As their concentration deepened, smoke began to rise from the logs, eventually bursting into flames. The High Wizard then began to chant an incantation to summon the grey flame, his words echoed by the others. The flames seemed to die down, only to reignite with a grey hue, spiraling upwards before settling into a calm, mesmerizing dance. The grey flame, devoid of heat or smoke, was a magical reaction that lasted a few minutes. Each participant then retrieved their enchanted glass jars to capture a piece of the grey flame. Once captured, the flame would not extinguish and remain safe within its glass home. Unikuka, in turn, asked the fire to become her ring, to which the flame in her jar responded with a soft glow. A thank you to the fire was all that was needed to seal the pact. After the ritual, the fire returned to its normal glow, the grey flame disappearing. Those successful in capturing the flame stayed to celebrate, exchanging spells and sharing tales. A particular spell to ward off insects from windows or even ears was a highlight of the night. As the fire turned to embers, some even collected the ashes as a keepsake. Having feasted on hair roast and non-alcoholic beer, it was time for Unikuka to return home, her grey flame safely tucked away. The journey home was long but passed quickly, accompanied by the haunting melodies of dark fantasy music. At the cottage, I make a pot of coffee and start preparing to separate the flames. I'm all fired up and all my focus is on the flame. I lift the glass jar in front of the fireplace and open its lid. I begin to recite the incantation. O grey flame, soon is white and black, white them and shadow release. A grey flame reaches out of the jar, as if watching. Soon, a bright white flame lights up in the fireplace. In front of the fireplace, it starts to dance as if its shadow. A white flame lights up the candles. The flame in the fireplace greets me. Evening to the house. A low, resonant voice is heard. There is a muffled whisper from the candles, but it is impossible to make out. The candles are left whispering to each other. The house seems lit up like this too. The white flame does not emit smoke and does not burn trees. It burns above the trees and cannot be extinguished. Everything that its light touches is suitably warm. The shadow dances silently on the floor and partly also moves to the walls. Soon it moves to my black cat, but my cat doesn't notice anything. Its shadow looks ghostly, just as if the cat's shadow had a will of its own. The cat sleeps peacefully and does not know what is going on around it. Evening white. I can say to the fireplace, how do I tame the shadow? What do you mean taming the shadow? White flame asks back. I've heard that once a shadow is tamed, it travels like a normal shadow. It's just flavored with magic, keeps company when others can't see, and otherwise acts as a companion and helps with magic. Does it have other features? But for these purposes, I'm alone here thinking about witchcraft. White flame blows a ring of smoke towards the shadow of the sleeping cat. The cat opens its eyes and stretches undisturbed. The shadow goes to explore the apartment, disappearing into crevices and closets. What is it looking for? White corresponds to catnip. It wants to know the cat. Yes, I now have catnip here in the kitchen spice cabinet. The shadow comes out again and goes to the cat when I put catnip on the carpet. Soon the cat is panting on the floor and the shadow shows what the cat is saying. The shadow forms question marks and exclamation marks on the walls as the cat purrs and purrs on the floor. Shadow likes your cat, White tells, but does it like you? Taming the shadow begins with making wands. First, you need 3 willow branches. We make 3 magic wands. There is a suitable tree in the yard from which you can get branches. First the white wand, then the gray, and finally the shadow. When the branches are ready, White advises to take the branches and bring them in front of the fireplace. White created a light that casts no shadow on the branches. I stand the branches up in front of the fireplace to lean against each other. It looks special when there is no shadow of any kind from the tuning. Then a gray flame in a glass jar under the hood. White flame advises to go a little further and it will happen soon. Soon a gray flame rises from the jar and reaches the tip of the branches without reaching there. White starts smiling in her fireplace and shadow starts spinning around the branches as if dancing. White blows gently towards the branches without knocking them down. Gray begins to change shape and soon they are all on the same holiday of sticks. The surfaces of the hut seem to be covered in static electricity. At least the hair seems to stand up. The cat has fallen asleep again and does not understand what is happening around. The shadow had whispered a sleeping spell to the cat, which was probably quite appropriate because there is electricity in the air. The cat is fluffy. After a while, the electricity disappears and each magic wand has acquired its own colored shadow by which to recognize them. White says it's time Shadow got to know you. But how? I get asked. There is a bewitched cannabis bush in the yard. Take a white magic wand and conjure year-round light on the bush. Then you take the flower that grows back by morning. I'll dry it by the fireplace in no time into a burnable form. I take the wands and move them to lean against the wall. I choose the white one from the magic wands and go to the yard. It's starting to get dark already. With careful hesitation, I raise the magic wand and spin it on the branches of the bush. Before I could say anything, the bush seems to be getting its own climate in its area. I carefully cut a piece of the flower and go inside. The flower got the optimal climate in the yard. Unbelievable. I am speechless. White smiles that magic always surprises. I place a piece of flower in front of the fireplace and it dries in the eyes. However, I still had time to drink a cup of wild lettuce tea. Soon I'll be putting dry flowers in my pipe. You'll soon hear the shadow and it'll get to know you, says White. I habitually take the matches and light the pipe. Soon the shadow will appear as my shadow. After burning a nest, a cautious whisper is heard in my head. Hi, how are you? I am your new shadow. I almost freaked out, but I was cautiously expecting something like this. You are not, I am not, or we will never be alone again. It depends on how you ask or think about it. I like you. I see my shadow start to dance on the wall. Looks like a waltz. In my head, let's go outside. There's going to be a deafening rain. The mushrooms will come to the surface. Today is a holiday. I go outside and it's raining very little, but every little drop makes a liberty cap grow on the front lawn. Mushrooms accumulate appropriately, so I eat almost half of the mushrooms in the yard when they are fresh. The shadow whispered that let's stay in the yard and look at the sky. The stars say something. I was enjoying the smoke of cannabis on a bench in the yard. I couldn't see a shadow because it was so dark anyway. After a while, something happens in the starry sky. Nothing happens, but it's as if I'm separating the distances of the stars from each other in a way that seems impossible to imagine. Soon the stars will start dancing in the sky as the moon illuminates the yard. The visuals intensify and it looks like the ancient shamans from the Stone Age would make contact. Different visions and star paintings can be seen in the sky while Shadow is explaining and telling stories. When I point my finger at the sky, the tip of my finger starts to paint the northern lights on the sky. The whole sky shines and it feels like it's bright. I put my hand down and a vortex catches it, which absorbs light from space, which goes like a rubber band back into space, and the aurora borealis turned into a galaxy that slowly rotates, lighting up the whole sky. I feel like I'm falling asleep, and I sink into a sleep-like state where magic has different applications, from light to darkness. A shadow dances in my mind and wakes me up. Let's go inside. After the dreams, the sky looked like it was already night. The shadow was still dancing with the last starlight in the sky. I went inside and White seemed to be dozing peacefully in the fireplace. Gray had been placed on the table and Shadow followed with satisfaction. When I went to sleep, the shadow made my bed above me into the starry sky. We talked for a while until I fell asleep. I had tamed my own shadow, while waiting for the next witch ritual.